Hello, my name is Kamini Desai. I'm the Education Director of the Amrit Yoga Institute. For the last 25 years, I've been helping people master the inner dimension of their lives. And yoga is a very, very powerful tool to help you do this on many different levels. The Amrit method of yoga has many aspects to it, including alignment. It has a psychic aspect, a meditative aspect to it, but it also has an energetic aspect to it, in fact, which is very important because the Amrit method comes from a Kundalini tradition, an energy tradition of yoga. So I thought I'd spend a few minutes introducing these concepts of yoga to you today so you can see how energy fits into what we're doing in a yoga pose. So let's have a look at this. This is the ocean. This is a wave. And the idea is that you as the source, the infinite source, the being that you are, is like an undifferentiated ocean of potential. And it has no form of its own, just like an ocean, the depths of an ocean. But that ocean can rise up and take many forms, many waves, like bodies, like trees, like things, anything in manifest existence, comes and lives for a time, it comes into form, and then it dissolves back into the ocean from which it came. So the ocean is timeless, it is infinite, but the waves are impermanent. They live and die. A thought lives and dies, a feeling lives and dies, a body lives and dies, all of it dissolving back into the ocean from which it came. So what the yogis believed is that when things move from potentiality, the ocean, into wave, that everything that is impermanent, the impermanent aspect of the divine that lives and dies, is all composed of energy, or prana. And this is not so different from, again, Einstein's belief that, well, he proved it, that everything that we see is composed of varying degrees of densified energy, right? So what I want you to look at as you look at this picture, understanding that all of this is energy, can you see how this energy is consciousness or the source made visible? Does that make sense to you? That this energy up here is simply the source, the ocean made visible. And so if we want to work with consciousness or the source, we can actually work with energy. Or prana. Prana is the source or consciousness made visible. So to prove this point, there's a beautiful quote in the Bhagavad Gita, which was one of the source texts of yoga. And in it, Krishna, who represents the ocean of consciousness, says to Arjuna, who represents the wave, he says to him, "I am the fire of digestion in all living entities. And I join with the air of life, both incoming and outgoing, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff." So that sounds a bit heady, but what is he saying? What he's saying is, I am this consciousness. I infuse your body. I come into you when you breathe in. I go out of you when I come out. I am the source, and I am the thing that is digesting your food. And not only digesting your food, I am beating your heart. I am healing your body. I am blinking your eyes. Everything that's happening in your body is the energy of me, of consciousness in you. In other words, that prana, that biological force that is moving your body, is the spirit in you. The energy that is digesting your food is the energy of consciousness working in you. Right now, it's working at the biological level. It's highly underutilized, but it has a spiritual potential in it, right? So what we want to do is we want to see, first of all, how can we raise this biological energy that is the energy of consciousness in us? That's your spirit is what's digesting your food. But how do we get that spirit to a level where it's not just biologically healing you, it's having a spiritual function of returning you to the source from which it came? That's what we want to do, all right? So let's look at this. This is the energy system of the body. This is how consciousness infuses the physical body via the chakras. And I think most of you are familiar with that. This is the core. This is the base of the spine, where the base chakras are. This is the seventh chakra that represents connection with source. So right now we have all this energy of the divine that we should be using for our biological utilization, digestion, reproduction, whatever. But even at that level, the problem is that our mind is hemorrhaging and burning that fuel faster than we can assimilate it, right? So the same fuel that feeds your journey to the source and feeds your body is the same fuel that the mind eats. So when the mind is highly reactive, when it's angry, when it's sad, when it's up, when it's down, when it's unsteady, it is burning gallons of fuel. And it's like instead of having a bowl at the base of our chakras that's preserving and building energy, we have a sieve. And this sieve, if you can take it a little close up here, is actually draining out, burning all this fuel in the mind, right? So every time, again, as I said, you're reactive, you're angry, you're sad, you're insecure, you know how exhausting that is. It's exhausting because it's burning your body's energy. And that body's energy is then not available to heal your body. And that's why we get exhausted. That's why we get burnt out. That's why we don't have enough even reserves to just for the maintenance of the physical body, much less your spiritual evolution. All right. So the first thing that we're doing in the Amrit method of yoga is we want to plug these holes. And the way that we plug these holes is through cultivating steadiness of mind. And I talked about this in another video where you're learning to be relaxed under more and more circumstances, because the more you're relaxed under circumstances, the less you're burning energy. Now that energy that was normally burned through your reaction, it starts to build up in your body. And just like a thermometer filling, that energy begins, instead of flowing down and out through the sieve, begins to move inward and upward. And first, as it begins to build up, it will optimize the health of the physical body. It will accelerate healing. It will move huge amounts of energy through the systems of the body, clearing the thousands and thousands of nadis or meridians that feed all the organs and systems of the body. It will purify you to the deepest level, and you will become radiant and healthy. Okay? You will see it. In addition to that, that energy will begin to move you towards deeper and deeper levels of spiritual awakening, right? And the way that you will know that is you will be entering into deep states of meditative stillness. Such quiet, such peace, that you will begin to know yourself, the true self, as the ocean. And the more you begin to rest as the ocean, the more you will let the waves of thoughts and emotions and experiences of life move through you just like a wave moves through an ocean. But you will be able to rest as the ocean. But the energy that helps you do that, that helps return you to your ocean-like nature, is we have to get it cultivated. We have to get it built up enough. So in the first half of the pose, what we're doing is we're using those press points and energetic extensions. We're using alignments to free up blocked energy in the body. And we're plugging up these holes. The combination of freeing up energy and stopping the hemorrhaging of energy causes that energy to build up. And in the second half of the pose, this is unique to Amrit Yoga, you feel that energy. You pay attention to it. You let it become magnified through your attention. And what that energy does is every time you pay attention to it, it drops you into the ocean more and more and more until you begin to rest as the ocean. Energy returns you to consciousness. Manifest divinity returns you to unmanifest divinity.
I had no hesitation when it came to enrolling in the Amrit method, because when I discovered Gurudev and Kamini, and I discovered the clarity of the teachings and that there was so much depth and such a difference in the teachings from what I'd previously experienced, there was no question that this was what yoga is really about. Well, the takeaway for me is a really in-depth understanding that everything is composed of energy, and that I don't have to hold on to these thoughts and these emotions that are energy, because when we do, we end up suffering. So just letting it flow and learning to detach from particular ways of thinking and obsessive thinking and I realize now when I look back how much suffering I was causing myself when, when I was doing that. I can feel a clearing in my life. I can feel an opening in my heart. And with that heart opening, I relate to people in a completely different way. I'm much less reactive than I used to be. And life is just handled in a completely different manner than it was. My view of life is completely different than it used to be.
So hopefully this little explanation has given you a sense of a little bit of what we do in the Amrit method of yoga. If you want to learn more, make sure that you go to www.amrityoga.org or click on the link below and look up programs on Amrit method of yoga level 1. It could be a weekend, an immersion, or even a certification if you're interested in teaching this to other people as well. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you in person one of these days. Thanks so much. Jai Bhagwan.